Turning 16 was the day my world shattered, then began to rebuild. The rain lashed against the windows of our suburban house, its relentless rhythm mirroring the storm inside. Victoria, my sister, leaned casually in the corner, her lips curling into a smirk as our parents delivered the devastating news. "Rachel," Mom began, her voice devoid of warmth, "we've decided it's time for you to leave." She said it as though announcing a minor inconvenience, not exiling her own daughter. "You're not like Victoria. You're not college material, and we can't keep wasting resources on a lost cause." Dad remained hidden behind his newspaper, as detached as ever. Meanwhile, Victoria stepped forward, the sharp click of her designer heels punctuating the silence. "Don't take it too hard, little sister," she cooed, her fox sympathy unmistakable. "Maybe you'll find work as a janitor. That seems more your speed." I stood frozen, my backpack clutched tightly, trying to comprehend their cruelty. The signs had been there all along. Forgotten birthdays, constant comparisons, and praise heaped on Victoria while my efforts went unnoticed. But this was beyond anything I had imagined. Victoria had always been their golden child, their prodigy. While she enjoyed private tutoring and elite dance classes, I scraped by, funding my own school supplies with part-time jobs. Even when I earned a B average despite the odds, the only response was, "Why can't you be more like your sister?" "You have until tonight to pack," Mom added coldly. "And don't take anything we bought. Those are family assets." I laughed bitterly. "That won't be an issue. I've bought everything I own since I was 12. Victoria rolled her eyes. "Always the victim, Rachel. This is why you'll never amount to anything." That night, packing my few belongings into a battered duffel bag, I vowed to prove them wrong. Not just wrong, I would succeed so spectacularly that their betrayal would haunt them forever. What they didn't know was that I'd spent the past year secretly learning to code. Every dollar I earned working at the cafe went toward online courses. My high school computer science teacher, Mrs. Chen, had seen my potential and quietly mentored me. While Victoria flaunted her Princeton acceptance, I was building a future they couldn't imagine. Instead of wandering the streets as my family probably hoped, I showed up on Mrs. Chen's doorstep. "Rachel," she exclaimed, pulling me into a warm hug. "Come in, you're safe here." The Chens welcomed me like family, their modest home becoming my sanctuary. Mrs. Chen nurtured my talent, while her husband James, who worked in tech recruitment, helped me secure an internship. From there, I poured every ounce of myself into learning, coding, and growing. By 18, I launched my first successful app, an educational platform for underprivileged students. Its impact caught the attention of TechFusion's CEO, Marcus Chen, no relation to Mrs. Chen, who offered me a role on their development team. By 26, I had become one of TechFusion's youngest executive vice presidents, managing billion-dollar projects. My achievements were public, but my name, legally changed to Rachel Chen, ensured my family remained unaware of my success. Meanwhile, Victoria followed the predictable path: law school, a prestigious firm, and a marriage to Bradley Thompson, a lawyer from old money. Mom and Dad filled their social media with her picture-perfect life, blissfully ignorant of mine. Then fate intervened. One routine day at work, my assistant buzzed in. "Ms. Chen, the representatives for the merger meeting are here. They're from Thompson, Williams and Associates." My heart skipped a beat. Victoria's firm. "Send them in," I said, adjusting my designer suit and settling into my office chair. The door opened and there she was, Victoria, poised and polished, followed by Bradley and their colleagues. The moment her eyes met mine, her expression faltered. Her Hermes bag slipped from her hand, hitting the floor. "Rachel?" she whispered, stunned. "How?" I smiled coolly. "Welcome to TechFusion. Shall we discuss the merger?" Victoria's composure crumbled as realization dawned. Her nothing of a sister sat in a corner office towering over the city, commanding a power she never dreamed I could hold. "This can't be real," she stammered. You're not supposed to be here." I leaned back, the weight of my triumph speaking louder than words. "Well, Victoria, I'm here. So shall we begin?" Bradley cleared his throat, attempting professionalism. "Ms. Chen, we weren't aware of your connection to Victoria." I let the moment linger, savoring the sweet taste of vindication. "No, I'm sure you weren't aware," I replied, my voice calm and sharp. Just like you probably didn't realize your firm's future rests entirely on my recommendation regarding this merger. Victoria's face, already pale, turned ghostly white. The weight of my words settled on her like an avalanche. 10 years ago, she had laughed as our parents cast me out. Now the life she built on superiority and control was dangling by a thread. And I held the scissors. The meeting that followed was one of the most satisfying moments of my life. Watching Victoria squirm under the weight of her crumbling facade felt like justice, but this was just the beginning. She had no idea what was coming next, and neither did our parents. Revenge, like success, is best served with careful planning and perfect timing. As Victoria and her team left my office, I saw the cracks forming in her once impenetrable confidence. Everything she thought she knew about herself, her power, her superiority, was unraveling in real time. This was just part one of a decade-long plan. The real blow was yet to come. News of the meeting spread quickly through her circles. Within days, whispers of my identity replaced the reverent mentions of her accomplishments. Rachel Chen, the tech genius, the prodigy on magazine covers, the self-made millionaire, was no longer just a name in the tech world. To Victoria, I was the sister she had dismissed and discarded. My phone buzzed relentlessly with calls and messages from her. 17 missed calls in a single day. Each one was a small victory, a stark reminder of the countless times my family had ignored me. Ms. Chen, my assistant Sarah's voice came through the intercom. "Your sister is in the lobby again. She's insisting on seeing you." I glanced at my Rolex, a symbol of how far I'd come from that 16-year-old girl in thrifted clothes. "Let her wait," I replied smoothly. "I have more pressing matters to attend to." Those pressing matters included signing the final paperwork for Tech Fusion's acquisition of Thomson Williams and Associates. But not through the merger they desperately sought. This was a hostile takeover, a decisive end to their firm as they knew it. An hour later, Victoria burst into my office. Her once flawless appearance was in shambles. Her suit wrinkled, her mascara streaked from tears. "Rachel, please," she began, her voice trembling. "You have to talk to me. The merger, our firm depends on it." I leaned back in my chair, letting the moment stretch. "Interesting. Now you need something from me. Quite the change from 10 years ago, isn't it?" "I was young," she protested weakly, desperation etched into her features. "We all were." I didn't understand. "Didn't understand what?" I interrupted, my tone icy. "That treating your own sister like garbage might come back to haunt you. That the person you threw away might actually amount to something." She sank into the chair opposite me, the weight of her guilt pulling her down. "What do you want, Rachel? An apology? Money? Just tell me." I laughed, a sound as bitter as it was triumphant. "Money? Victoria, I make more in a month than you do in a year. And as for an apology," I rose from my chair and walked to the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. "It's far too late for that. Mom and Dad want to see you," she whispered. "They're devastated they didn't know about your success." "Devastated they missed out on the money, you mean?" I replied, not bothering to mask my disdain. "Tell me, did they ever look for me after throwing me out? Did any of you?" Her silence was answer enough. "Mrs. Chen looked for me," I continued, my voice steady with resolve. "She and her husband gave me a home, believed in me, and supported my dreams. They're my real family." Victoria's eyes widened in realization. He changed your name to Chen." "I did," I said simply. "The moment I turned 18. I wanted nothing to do with a name that brought me nothing but pain." Just then, my phone buzzed. A message from Marcus Chen, Tech Fusion's CEO. "Acquisition approved by the board. Proceed as planned." I turned back to Victoria, my expression unreadable. "You'll be getting some interesting news about your firm soon. I suggest you update your resume." Her panic was palpable. "What do you mean?" I savored the moment before delivering the blow. "Tech Fusion isn't merging with Thomson, Williams and Associates," I said, each word deliberate. "We're buying it, and our first order of business is restructuring the management team." The blood drained from her face as the implications sank in. "You can't do this. Bradley's family, their connections." I laughed outright this time. "Bradley's country club connections. Victoria, I have dinner with senators and tech billionaires. His world is nothing compared to mine." As if on cue, her phone buzzed. Bradley's name lit up the screen. The news was spreading like wildfire. This isn't just about me, she pleaded, her voice cracking. Think about the employees, their families. Don't lecture me about caring for others, I said sharply. Unlike our parents, I don't punish innocent people for someone else's mistakes. The employees will be taken care of, but the senior partners who perpetuated that toxic culture, they're out. She stood shakily, her entire world collapsing around her. Mom and Dad will be at my house tonight, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. They want to make things right. I paused, considering her words. Seeing them grovel might be amusing, but I had a better idea. Tell them to come to the Capitol tomorrow night at 8. I'll reserve a private room. After she left, I called Mrs. Chin. They took the bait, I said, satisfaction evident in my tone. Are you sure about this, Rachel? She asked gently. Revenge can feel hollow in the end. This isn't just revenge, I assured her. This is justice. And tomorrow, they'll finally understand what that means. The next evening, I sat in the Capitol's most exclusive dining room, the pinnacle of luxury. When my family arrived, their expressions were a mix of awe and discomfort. The daughter they discarded now commanded a world they could only dream of entering. Rachel, Mom began, stepping forward as if to hug me. I didn't move. Please, I said coldly, gesturing to the table. Sit. Dad cleared his throat, clearly out of his depth. We've been doing a lot of thinking, Princess. Don't, I interrupted. You lost the right to call me that the day you threw me out. Mom's eyes filled with tears, perfectly timed as always. We made a mistake, she sobbed. We were so wrong about you. The waiter approached, presenting a bottle of wine worth more than their monthly mortgage payment. I gestured for it to be poured, the sound of the cork popping slicing through the tense air. Yes, you were wrong, I said, my tone calm but unyielding. But that's not why I agreed to this dinner. Victoria shifted in her seat, her confidence unraveling. Rachel, about the firm. The acquisition is final, I replied sharply. And again, that's not why we're here. From my briefcase, I withdrew 3 folders and slid one to each of them. Open them. The silence thickened as they complied. Inside each folder were meticulously documented records, a timeline of their cruelty, from forgotten birthdays to scathing remarks, juxtaposed with financial statements, property deeds, and investment portfolios, all of it theirs. How did you get this? Dad's voice faltered as his eyes darted over the damning contents. While you were busy boasting about Victoria's mediocre achievements, I began leaning back in my chair. I was busy acquiring every debt you owed. Your mortgage, car loans, Victoria's student loans, even Dad's failing business liabilities. I own it all. Every penny you owe is now mine. The shock was palpable. Mom's hands trembled as she clutched the folder, her perfectly manicured nails denting the expensive paper. Now, I said, taking a measured sip of the wine, we're going to discuss terms. The private dining room fell into an uneasy silence. For once, they were at a loss for words. Dad, the man who once dismissed me with a sneer, finally spoke, his voice barely audible. What do you want? What I want, I said, leaning forward, is for you to understand what you threw away 10 years ago. Not just a daughter, but someone who could have been your greatest ally. Mom dabbed at her tears, her designer mascara smudging in streaks. We can be a family again, she whispered, her voice breaking. Please, Rachel, we'll do anything. Anything. I raised an eyebrow, pulling out another set of papers. Then sign this. Victoria, ever the lawyer, grabbed the document first. Her face paled as she read it. This is everything. The house, Dad's business, my trust fund. Precisely, I said coolly. Sign it all over to me and I'll erase your debts. Refuse and tomorrow, I'll foreclose on everything. You can't do this, Dad protested, his voice tinged with desperation. We'll be ruined. Ruined, I echoed, a cold laugh escaping my lips. Let me tell you about ruined. Ruined is being 16 and sleeping in a park because your family threw you out. Ruined is working 3 jobs just to afford a meal. Ruined is watching the sister who mocked you post about her perfect life while you fight to survive. Victoria's anger flared. You're better than this, Rachel. You've already won. You're wealthy, powerful. Why stoop to our level? This isn't about stooping, I said, my voice steady. This is about justice. Consequences. From my phone, I played a recording. Their voices from a decade ago filled the room, cutting through their veneer of remorse. Sneers, dismissive laughter, cruel words predicting my failure. Mom covered her mouth as if to block out the sound of her own venom. I kept this, I said quietly, pausing the recording. Every time I felt like giving up, it reminded me what I was working for. Not just success. This moment. Dad's hands trembled as he picked up the pen and signed the papers. Mom followed, her tears falling freely. Victoria hesitated, her pride warring with her fear, but eventually she signed as well. It's done, I said, collecting the documents. The apartment keys are with the maitre d'. You have until tomorrow to move your essentials. Everything else will be sold. As they stood to leave, I delivered my final blow. 10 years ago, you told me I'd never amount to anything. You were wrong. I became everything you said I couldn't, not because of you, but in spite of you. Victoria paused at the door, her voice fragile. Will we ever see you again? I considered her question. That depends on whether you learn from this. After they left, Mrs. Chen entered the room, her warm smile a balm to my hardened exterior. She hugged me tightly. Are you okay, sweetheart? For the first time in 10 years, I said, my voice lighter. I think I am. The next morning, I watched movers dismantle my old family home. Piece by piece, Victoria's perfect life unraveled. Dad's business was already undergoing restructuring, and Mom's social circle buzzed with the scandal of their fall from grace. But revenge wasn't my ultimate goal. I had something bigger in mind. The following week, I announced the creation of the Chen Foundation for Youth Empowerment. Its mission, to support abandoned and struggling teens, giving them the tools to rewrite their own stories. When I unveiled the foundation headquarters to Mrs. Chen, she cried. This, she said, her voice thick with pride, is your real victory, turning pain into purpose. She was right. The legacy I was building wasn't born from vengeance, but from hope. Each teenager who walked through the foundation's doors would find the support I once needed and received from the Chens. Months later, a letter arrived from Victoria. She wrote about her new life, working as a paralegal, living in a modest apartment, and finally understanding the value of humility. I didn't respond. Instead, I anonymously donated to the legal aid clinic where she worked, ensuring they could continue helping others. Success, I realized, wasn't just about proving my family wrong. It was about proving to myself that resilience could triumph over cruelty. My biological family may have abandoned me, but their rejection had forged me into someone unstoppable. Someone who not only survived but thrived and used that success to lift others. In the end, I had gained something far more valuable than revenge. I had found freedom, purpose, and an unshakable peace. The girl they threw away had become the woman they could never be, happy, fulfilled, and whole.